I'm showing the photo of you with the young boy, the young Iraqi boy. What's the story behind that?
That is the son of one of my interpreter. He wasn't able to go to school at the time. It was just too dangerous. He brought him to work on the Iraqi base where I lived, and we employed him. We paid him what we could to do odd jobs around the base. Meet him again. He's a great kid.
Hey, I want to bring Bassem in if we could. What's cool, you haven't met Bassem, but I know that you've listened to him. You were watching the last class. Bassem has read your article. The two of you have so much in common in the way that you are thinking about things and the way that you're operating. When I was with Bassem in Iraq, his house was very close to the base where you were stationed. And so when I was there, I was feeling really the energy of both of you. And but Bassem, let me just ask you, so you heard Bill speaking about the Iraqi people. How is that to hear that?
I'm so happy to finally see you in person. Sam told me about you while we were having tea in the lobby of the hotel. And he told me about your book. And then 2 weeks ago, he sent me your article, and I read your article. And I see where you're coming from. Empathy is what we try to accomplish, and that's what brought us together. Iraqis are peace-loving people, and you lived there. And at the beginning of the invasion in 2003, my house was across the street from an American base. About 11 p.m., I was sitting in my garden, and my door was knocked, and I opened the door, and there was this young American soldier. And he said, "Sir, can you do me a favor?" I said, "What do you need?" He said, "I need to get an email to my mom, and we don't have internet on base." I said, "Sure, just write the letter." I gave him a flash disk. I said, "Write your letter, give me your mom's email, and I will email it." I said, "Would you like to come in?" And it seems like for security purposes, he was afraid to enter the house, so he just brought me the flash disk, and I emailed the letter for him, and 2 days later I got an email from his mom, and I gave it to him. Up to 2004, things were easy for Americans in Mosul, and suddenly everything deteriorated. I don't know, something happened. And then I have one question for you. As an American soldier who lived in Iraq in 2005, I have one question. When you mentioned this young kid from the university, I have always wondered why, when a young person who was not really an insurgent was arrested, and then he was put in jail with hardcore criminals like Qaeda, like in Puka, in Abu Ghraib. And I believe that these two prisons became a hatching and breeding environment for these young kids. My question is, was this a mistake, or was this done on purpose?
Tough questions. But first, Bassem, it's really great to hear you and see you. Honestly, I want to apologize and say I'm sorry for your loss. And honestly, your example of forgiveness is something I don't think I could. I hope that I could live up to. Now, to go to your question, I lived and worked in an Iraqi base in an Iraqi prison, and their prisoners were you couldn't have a person for more than 7 days. Yes, I agree that the larger prisons, yes, they were a breeding ground. But no, I don't believe that was on purpose. It was more out of ignorance.
I think, Bill, one of the things that I get from your article that we read in my classes, all the decisions that just get made haphazardly and are so wrong-headed. So often they're done by people who just are unwilling to imagine ourselves in a different kinds of situation, including people who are making these top-level decisions. And then we do really stupid things, and we're not educating ourselves, right? Like the one thing that was really clear in your article is you came to see the humanity of people in Iraq, and it's just how that changed the way you then would make decisions versus before you went over. And I think that in many ways that's the role of this class, and it's the foundation of my friendship with Bassem, who has become, by the way, one of my closest friends in the world, with whom he and I share things that we don't share with other people. So Bassem's approach toward justice his choosing the path of justice and forgiveness. It is so hard to get Americans to understand that that is not unusual, that he is not the exception. Like that is a Muslim framework for seeing the world.
Yeah, as I said before, I left Iraq a completely different person than I went to Iraq. What I learned was that, yes, Iraqis, but most cultures, I can't think of a culture I haven't been to that are just nice people and peaceful people. And, they have kids. They want to see them be happy and grow old, and they go get groceries. And, they have parents that annoy the hell out of them. And, they go to school and listen to really obnoxious teachers blabber on. As I said, there's just so much that we have in common. And yes, Iraqis are very good at forgiveness. Was a contributor. I wrote an essay for a book that came out a year ago called War and Moral Injury, and the only most recent one was my dissertation. I talked about how an ancient Buddhist psychology and practice called dependent origination can, I guess, be a path to lessen the suffering of war fighters who come back experiencing shame.
Just as a teacher who is, the reason I've taken on this work in the way that I have is because I too have started to travel and started to meet people in other areas of the world, and what I found was that pretty much what both of you have said was very much what both of you have said, that people are mostly the same all over, and it really doesn't matter where I go. We all want the same things. And Lori was in class a couple of weeks ago, and somebody asked her a question about, or I guess I asked her the question about what she learned from her travels, and she said that I have no one to fear. There is nobody in the world no group who I need to fear. There are individuals, but there is no single group. And yet sometimes in doing this work, I feel like I'm just swimming upstream because it's so much. And I don't know, I have this class and they're here and they're interested. Tell me what you need to tell me to keep going, man. It's hard. So let me hear from both of you. You tell me what I need to know to keep doing what I'm doing. And we have about 4 minutes left.
You're doing a great job, Sam. Great job. If I had a brownie, I'd give it to you. I think opportunities like your class are important, and it's good to hear you and your talks, especially if you hadn't talked on TED, I wouldn't be here today. So yeah, I'll leave it to Bassem.
Yeah, same with me. If I didn't watch the Radical Experiment in Empathy, I wouldn't be here. Sam, you're a brave person. You go places that I don't think everybody will go to. Like when I came to the United States with the stereotyping and in New York and being so dangerous, I was there in the 80s. And when I came, everybody told me, don't go to the subway, don't ride the train, it's dangerous. But I did, and I did not feel afraid riding the train. Everybody should travel, get out of his bubble, see the world, talk to other people. And Bill, I really wish one day we can meet face to face. Thank you so much.
Yeah, me too, Bassem. If I can just say one thing to your class,
yep.
You're here, you're in school, you're in the best place in the world. Don't be in a rush to leave. That's all I have to say.
Hey, there are a few people in here who aren't going to pass my class, and they'll be back another semester. So, yeah, they'll take you up on it.